Hey guys, it's Loves to Loom here. Today I will be showing you how to create my Petal Burst bracelet. This bracelet is my own original design. It's actually kind of a spin-off of my Lifesaver Burst, but a little different. This bracelet takes about 104 bands depending on your wrist size, and it is equivalent to 8 of the flower bursts. So it does take 2 full looms if you want it to fit all the way around your wrist, but I also show you how to do it on one with a transfer. Also, to help you choose your colors, it took 48 of the colored like petals bands and then 56 of the white border bands. So yeah, but without wasting your time any further, let's go ahead and get started. To make this bracelet without an extension or a transfer, you would need 2 looms. You would want them set up in a staggered position, 3 side by side, and then you would just have the other loom right behind it, connecting them both together. If you do not have 2 looms, do not worry. You can do it with 1 loom, but you do have to do a transfer, but it's super easy. I will briefly show you how to do that. So if you only have 1 loom, you can make it as well. The tutorial will be on 2 though. For it to fit all the way around my wrist, I need 8 petal bursts, so that's why I use the full length of 2 looms. So you will also need 1 C-clip and your hook. So today, in this tutorial, we will be doing things a little bit different than normally. First off, you want your loom set up like this with the arrows facing yourself. This is the easiest way that I came up with being able to make this. For the first part, it really doesn't matter which way the arrows are facing, but since the second half of the design is facing you, you might as well do that the whole time. So without any more babbling, we're going to get started. I'm going to be using, for my border bands, white, and then I'll use pink, red, orange, and yellow for my bursts. So the first thing that we need to do is just lay some bands and sit them on the loom for later. So grab whatever color you're using for your border, and you're going to, remember, make sure you have it in a staggered position, but with the middle going in since the arrows are facing you. Normally it's out, so make sure it's like that. Start from the middle, and we're going to count up 3. So it would be 1, 2, 3. So on that third pin in the middle, take whatever color you're using for your border and just sit it on there for later. From that one that you laid it on, we're going to now count 4, and we're going to count 4 for the rest. So it would be, this would be considered 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop another one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop another one. You're going to need a total of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unless you're using 1 loom, then you would need 4. Or how many would you need? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you would need 4 if you're only using 1 loom. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my last one is 2 pins shy from the end. The place that we are putting our bands that loosely sits at the bottom is strictly to connect our bursts together. So this is basically going to be the top of each of our bursts. So you should have a total of 8 if you have 2 looms, and if you only have 1 loom, then you should only have 4. So once you've done that, just ignore the fact that those bands are there. And now we're going to start laying our bursts. Like I said, this tutorial is going to be done a little bit differently, the way that it's done in steps, and you'll just see. So I'm going to start with pink, and the first thing we're going to do is just like you would do a starburst. We're just going to lay 6 bands coming out to each of the pins from the middle pin, just like you would do a regular starburst. Doesn't really matter which order you go in. 1 single band. Like that. And then just push them all down. And now we're going to leave that alone for now, and we're going to go lay our next starburst, which is not going to be from this center pin, the one right after the pink. It's going to be the next one. So let me hold it up to make sure you guys can see. So here's the first starburst we laid. Skip that middle pin. Coming to the next middle pin, that's where we will start laying our next burst. So I'm going to go to red, and you're going to do the same thing. Just lay 6 of them out to the surrounding pins. And now we're going to go to our next one. Just try to change my angle here a little bit. So remember, skip this pin and start laying it from this one here. So basically your first one should be connecting to where that white is at the top. And just keep doing that all the way up the loom until you have all of your bursts laid out. Skipping this one, starting here on this one. So this bracelet does take a little bit of some time to make. This one particularly isn't too bad, and I would say it's actually fairly easy, but the double petal burst is a little more tricky. I'm going back to my pink now. So I'm just going to go off camera and finish laying my bursts real quick, and then we can catch back up. Just don't forget to skip that pin, you know, right after that first one, or else it will mess everything up. So just continue laying these, and I'll be right back in a second. Okay, so I did go ahead and get all of my starbursts laid, or petal bursts, but now we have to add a cap in on the centers of each of them. So I guess technically we could have done that when we were laying them, but this is just the order that I do it in. So we actually need to put a triple cap in. So it has to be wrapped 3 times. I like to use the same color that my petal burst is. So I'm going to stick with pink for this one. Doesn't matter how you get it on there. Just make sure it's wrapped around 3 times. Sorry about my hand getting in the way. So let's see if I can do this without blocking it completely. So just go through each one of your bursts and wrap it around 3 times. It's important that it's wrapped 3 times because it will not come out correctly if it's only wrapped around twice. So I know you can't really see my hand up here, but I know you guys know what I'm doing. So just going to lay my last one. That band was kind of loose, so I'm going to do a new one. Okay, so I just went ahead, got my triple cap bands on the center of each of my bursts, and now we're going to start looming them out. So at this point going forward, well, no, that's not true, so let me just stop talking. Okay, so your loom should look like that, and now we're going to go ahead in the centers of each and loom them all out to themselves. So just like you would do a regular starburst, we're going to push back the triple cap band, grab the very top band, and bring it back to itself. And you're going to do that for each one. Go back in the cap band, grab the next band, and bring that to itself. And just keep doing that until all 6 petals are back upon themselves. And then I'm just going to leave that for now, and I'm going to come to my red, and I'm going to loom that one out. So this part's super easy. I'm sure we've all done this plenty of times. One thing I will say is just make sure when you bring it back to itself that you're not getting the bands twisted. It's very important that the top band is on top and that the bottom is on the bottom. So just make sure that they're nice and not twisted. For any of you who are using one loom, you are still doing exactly the same thing we are doing, although you may have to fast forward or just wait for me to catch up for further instructions. But so far everything is the same except you have 4 petals at this point and we have 8. So I'm just going to go off camera really quick and finish looming out the 3 that I have left, and then we'll meet back up here. So just finish looming them out. Okay, so once you have all of your starbursts loomed out, we are going to now start, I guess, what I would call the tricky part of the bracelet. We now have to loom each one of our starbursts going in the band, and we're going to wrap it around. So we're going to start at the top, and we're going to do this to each petal, and we have to go inside the top band, grabbing the bottom band and bringing it to this pin here, and then we're going to go inside that one and bring it here, and we're just going to keep going around till we get back to the top. The first one, we will only be going inside 1 band, but all the rest we will be going inside 2. So, starting at the top of your first burst, you're going to move that top band out of the way. Make sure you're going inside the pin. Move the top band, grab the bottom band, remove it from the pin, and place it back on the pin to the left. Now we need to go inside these 2 bands, and we're going to grab the bottom band on that one. Bring that off. This is the trickiest one because you gotta like pull it back kind of to get it back on here. Okay, now we're going to do the same to this one. So you're going to push back those 2 bands, grabbing the bottom band, remove it from the pin, and twist. Now you're not going to lay it like this. If you notice, once you pull it off, you're going to see how my hook is like turning and placing it on. So that how it's twisting over the band is how you want it to be. Going inside the 2 bands again, grabbing the bottom, placing it on the next pin, doing the same over here, grabbing the bottom, and this will be the last one, going through these 2, grabbing the bottom, bringing it back to the top one. So that's what you should have right now, and we need to do that to each one of them. So this is basically like a step-by-step bracelet. So starting always at the top, we're going to move the top band, grabbing the bottom, bringing it to the left. Now we're going to move those two bands, grab that bottom, and don't just sit it down. You have to kind of like go behind the pin and then place it on because you want it to do that little twist thing right there. Move the top two, grab the bottom, twist it on, and just keep doing that all the way around. Move these two bands, grabbing the bottom, bringing that up, and we have one more. Moving on to my orange. You could also do this one like this. I've been working from the back, that's probably why it's harder. If you just move them out of the way like this, and then grab it, that would probably be easier. I'm going to do one more before I go off camera. So again, we're moving the top band and grabbing the bottom band and placing it on the next pin to the left. Now we're going inside those two bands, grabbing the bottom, bringing that to the next pin, going through those two bands, grabbing the bottom, and that's why it's important that you just kind of take your time because you don't want these bands intertwined. You need to make sure you're grabbing that bottom band and not a different band. If you end up how I was explaining, like you don't want to just lay it on, you want to do that kind of like turn thing. If it does end up being laid the other way, it's not the end of the world. It still will come out just fine. So I'm going to keep going and looming out the rest of mine, and then I'll be right back. So go ahead and finish doing that to the rest of your starburst or petal burst. Okay, so I did go ahead and finish looming out all of my petal bursts. So this is what your loom should look like. They should all be, loomed upon each other. And now what we're going to do is start laying our border bands. This is also going to be done in steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay the bands now going around the outside of each one, but we're not going to do anything with that middle band yet until we actually start looping them. So for now, get the color. Oh, and I know I did say this, but I just want to reiterate, just in case when you just loomed out your bursts, I did say it, I'm sure probably more than once, but I just want to say it again, you had to have started at the top. So I know I showed you 3 times, but I know it's nature to want to start at the bottom. Make sure that when you went in and looped it like that in the clockwise motion, make sure you started at the top, because your bracelet will fall apart if you did not start at the top one. Because you have to start there and you have to finish there. So, okay. So now what we're going to do, hopefully that didn't confuse anyone, because I did say it when I was looming, but I just wish I would have said it again before I went off camera. So now what we're going to do is get the color of our border bands. Arrows should still be facing us. So I'm using white. And now we're just going to do our outline here. But you have to do it exactly how I show you to lay them. So I'm starting at the very beginning of my loom. Again, arrows facing me. Starting with my first starburst. We're going to kind of do this like backwards, I guess you can say. Instead of laying them like this and going up, we're going to start at the top and come down. So I'm going to lay one to the left and one on the right. and I'm just going to come down to the middle and do the same on the right side. Now I'm going to go to my red and do the same thing. You can even just do like your whole left side and then do the right side. It's probably easier to do it like that, so you're not going back and forth. This part's pretty easy. We're just outlining our flower. We just have to work top to bottom because when we loom, we're going to go bottom to top. So this way our bracelet doesn't fall apart. Just do this to every single one. Whoops. And my last one. Okay, so now we have all of our bursts outlined with our border, and now just push your bands down a little bit. Doesn't have to be too much, but you just want to have some room for what we're going to do next. And still, if you're using one loom, you're still doing the same thing we are. Okay, so come back to your beginning. Grab one more color of your border band, and we're going to add just a regular cap band onto this bottom pin here. So just wrap it 2 times to make a regular cap band. And we are going to, excuse me, we're going to loom this first starburst out. Still not doing anything with the white band down here. Just leave it down there for now. So we're going to go inside our cap band, and we're going to go to the right with the white and then to the left, and we're just going to loom up to the middle. So push back your cap band, grab the top band, bring it back to itself, go back in your cap band, grab your next band and bring that back to itself, and then work up the sides up to the top. Just like that. We are not going to move on to our other bands yet. We're going to stick with this one. And now what we have to do is one more step on this part. We now have to connect our underneath to our white. So this is probably the trickiest part, is this first one here. So we're going to have to go, and we're going to start at the top again, just like we did when we looped the pink. We need to push back the bands, all the bands, and we need to grab that very bottom band. So I don't know if you can, I'm going to turn mine. So that very, very bottom pink is what I need to grab. So going inside that very top band, push back, or pin, push back all of your bands. I know it's very tricky to see what I'm doing. I'm trying to get an angle so you can see. Push them all back. If it lets you, there we go. And grab that bottom band. And you're going to bring that to the left again like we did the first time. And you're going to do that all the way around. The top one is the hardest to grab, but these aren't so bad. So push them all out of the way. Grab the bottom band. Bring it down to the next pin in front. Push them all out of the way. Grab the bottom. So you're literally doing the same thing that we did the first time, except there's the white on there that we're going through too. So it should look like that. And now we're going to move on to our next burst, but now before we loop this white, now is when we're going to connect this one here. So grab onto, I use my hook, grab onto the one end of your white and just connect it like so. And now going inside this top pin here, grab the other side of it and you're going to bring it up just like that. So now we're going to go in here and this is going to be our cap band to loop our white for the next one. So just like we did the last one, you're going to loop your white. One to the right, one to the left, and just go up the sides until you reach the top. Sorry about my hand being like in the corner. Just like that. And now we're going to do the same thing again like we did the first time. We're going to move these bands out of the way. Make sure you start at the top, move them out of the way, and grab the bottom band. And I'm going to show you right here. It's the band that you can visually see. So once you move it, you don't want to grab that band. You want to grab this one right here. So just move the whites, and it's that band right there. So it's really not actually that hard if you know which band I'm talking about. So go inside your pins or bands. I'm all messed up with my words tonight. Sorry. Just grab the very bottom. Go all the way around. So now we're done looping out our red. So we need to, from the outside of the pin, you need to grab a hold of that loose band and connect it forward. And now we're going to go inside the top, grabbing the band from the inside and looping it forward. And now we'll do the same thing again, looping our white. And now we need to loop our orange. So I'm moving them out of the way, grabbing the bottom band. And once again, we need to grab the white band from the outside, hook it to the next one, go inside your top pin, grab that band, and bring it forward. For the loomers using one loom, this is going to be your last one for this, for the first half of your bracelet. So I'll tell you what to do once you're done looming this one out. So just loom your white out again. This time, for some reason, I went left to right. Sorry, guys. Doesn't really matter which order. Okay. So I'm going to go in, grab my bottom band. And bring it to the pin in front, like we've been doing the whole time. So you definitely have to have patience for this bracelet, that's for sure. So, like we've been doing, you're going to grab this band and you're going to bring it forward to the next pin. If you have one loom, do exactly what I just did also. Go inside, grab that band and pull it forward. If you have two looms, keep on going and finish out the rest of your, exactly what I've been doing. Just keep doing that until you reach the very end. If you have one loom, follow me. You're going to have these two bands right here connecting to your very top pin. You're just going to slide it on your hook like this, and you're going to pull it up and off. I'm not going to pull mine off, but just have it nice and secure. I actually use my hook and I go like this and I pop them all off like this. So you may want to do that to all of your petals, and then it makes it easier to just pull it off. So once you have it pulled off, you are going to, I just this little example one. You're going to need to stick that to the side for now. And you're going to have to do exactly what we did the first time. You're going to have to lay all four of them again. So watch the previous instructions if you forget. Remember, you'll have to lay your single bands down. Just like we did the first time, you have to do all that again. Once you get to the point where all your bursts are loomed out underneath and you have your white laid, when you come back to start looming your white out, that's when you're going to grab the first part of your bracelet, and you're going to make sure that you have to have your petals facing down. And I know this doesn't match, but this is what I had. So make sure your petals are facing down. Slide it to the end of your hook. Take your two bands, and you're just going to place it on that very first pin. Before you start looping your white, make sure your petals are down. You should be looking at the back of your bracelet. And this is going to be your cap band. The pink is going to be, or whatever, you hooked on is going to be your cap band. And just like we've been doing for the other part of the bracelet, you're going to continue doing that. You're going to go in, grab your top band, bring it to the right, go back in, bring that to the left, and loom up. So everything else is exactly the same. You basically just have to do it 2 times if you have one loom. But I just wanted to show you that in case anyone wants to make it with one loom. It really is not hard. So that's basically all you do. So it's super duper easy. You basically just need to take it off, put it on your hook, sit it to the side, do everything again on the loom. But the only difference is you're not using a cap band. You're going to reattach your bracelet and then do everything exactly how I did in the tutorial. So I'm going to come back to my loom here, and for all of my loomers that are using the 2 looms, I'm going to go off camera and finish up looping mine, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I did go ahead and loop out the rest of my bursts. So I'm at the very, very last one. So if you haven't figured it out, all we're going to do is grab that last loose white band at the end. I like to just connect it to that top one there, going on the inside like we've done the rest, and pull it forward like that. And that is where we are going to attach our C-clip. I like to just do it now while it's on the loom. It's just easier that way. Whoops. Just push out your bands and pop your C-clip on. If I can get a hold of my C-clip. Like so. Okay, so what I do to remove it from the loom is, because there's a lot of like tension, I just use my hook and just like pop them off the sides like that. And I do that on all of them before I pull up on the middle, only because I do not want any bands to snap. So just do that all the way down your loom. As you all know, I don't have a fast forward button in my editing software. Still waiting to hear from someone to help me out with that, because I don't know how to find the app with that function. So now that I do that, I come up to the beginning and I put my hook in the top one, and then I just pull up on the rest like so. And then I carefully slide my hook out. And then you will notice that some of your petals may be a little disoriented. So I go by one, grabbing each petal and just pulling it out like so. That's all you do. And now this is optional, but I like when you can see the white a little bit. So I just grab, I don't grab the whole thing, I just grab the very top white band that you can see, and I just pull that out like this, because I like how you can like see that around it also. So I do that to every single one, because when you pull it off of the loom, they get like kind of tight and tucked in. So that's what I do. Oh, and there's only going to be 5 petals that you see, because the one gets trapped since you have to connect them together. So don't worry if you can't find a petal. It's normal. So that's all you do. And then to close it together, it's super duper easy. Locate your C-clip. Make sure your band is not twisted at all. Come to the other side. Locate underneath that white cap band at the beginning, and you just connect it to that. And voila. It's kind of almost like a seamless bracelet, so I think that's very cool. So I did not finish pulling on my petals, but I will after I go off camera. But there you have my completed Petal Burst bracelet. Hope you guys liked it. I know that it is, oh, I have it upside down. There is like a lot of steps to it, but I think it's worth it. I think it's cute. I always like when I come up with like a different design, and I do have the Lifesaver Burst one, but I like this with the flowers. So Give it a thumbs up if it helped you at all. Please tag me at Loves to Loom on Instagram because I love seeing your guys' creations. And I appreciate you guys watching. So I will see you all at my next video. Bye!